$100,000 was like the creme de la creme. Like the goal was to reach a six-figure income. But now we're hearing so many people say, oh, even if you make $100,000, you're still living paycheck to paycheck. So the question is it enough?
Well, I think anybody who's watched our content for any period of time know this was one of my milestones. When I hit 30, I wanted to be making six figures. But there is a bigger question here. You know, in the past, six figures was something that was to be aspired to. But now we even have people asking, because we've all heard about the Princeton study of is $75,000 enough to create happiness and survivability. Now people are asking that exact same question on $100,000. So what is it? Is this enough to make you rich? Is this enough to make you comfortable? We wanted to break that down. Well,
Bankrate did a really interesting study, and they polled some respondents asking these questions. They asked them, how much is enough? What income is needed in order for you to feel financially secure or to feel comfortable? And what's really, really interesting is that 45% of Americans listed an income of $100,000 or less necessary to feel comfortable, which I thought, okay, well, that's great news. Half of the folks at least say, okay, I don't have to make over $100,000 to feel comfortable. It tells us that a huge portion of Americans would even say that 100,000 is still that number. It's still the financial success. It's still the financial comfort number that exists out there.
I still think it's quite interesting, though, if you, and this is why I love that the next question, we don't have to flip it yet, is what is rich? But it is, you start seeing the indications that maybe there's a disconnect from where reality is and what the public is perceiving based upon the amount of people that they think over $1 million, over 500,000, over 200,000. These are big numbers.
Those are big numbers.
Yet you see that we've got, close to 20% of the people thinking that you have to have massive amounts of money just to reach the enough threshold. So somehow we've got to bring this back since there's a disconnect. But before we do that, let's talk about the next, because this is enough. This is essentially that comfort. This is the update of that Princeton study of 75,000. We're now saying 100,000 post-pandemic and inflation. How about what do you need to be considered rich?
Yeah, that was the question they asked, is what's the annual income needed for you to assess yourself as being rich or to provide the mechanism by which you could attain financial freedom. And it was wild that only 12% of respondents said on an income less than $100,000, I am either rich or I can even achieve financial independence.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. It's 444. So that means that if you look at this, 48% are somewhere between $100,000 to $1 million.
That's half the population. Half the population of respondents said it'd have to be at least six figures all the way up to seven figures to be able to reach financial independence.
Here's the one that got me, is that the real kicker, 1 in 4 Americans said they need an income of over $1 million to feel rich or attain financial freedom. I immediately, when I saw that stat, I thought of the Morgan Housel quote, which is, when most people say they want to be a millionaire, what they might actually mean is, I'd like to spend $1 million, and that is literally the opposite of being a millionaire.
Those two do not line up.
But don't you see that in these stats?
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously we know, and we'll talk about the stratification of what people actually make. This means people just want to be able to spend a lot more. They want to. This is why you see so many lottery winners go broke, is that we all have these spend like a millionaire, but the reality is that's not the way millionaires actually live their lives.
What's wild is CNBC came out with some stats, and they said that the income needed to be in the top 5% of income earners in this country is just over $560,000. So to be a top 5% earner, you would be over $560,000, and yet 1 in 4 Americans think that you need double that amount to be able to attain financial freedom, to be able to attain financial independence. There's a big disconnect around people recognizing and understanding how wealth is truly built and what's necessary to be able to build wealth.
Well, I mean, if you, that millionaire stat that I gave, to make $1 million, that's 1% of a percent. You're not even in the top 1%. You're in the percent of a percent. So that means that this hype machine or the highlight reel that social media is creating is not hitting us in a good way. It's actually working against us, because it's making you, even though you might be doing really well statistically, and you could build your life around that and build success, build happiness, A lot of people are looking at the highlight reel of social media and actually skewing their own comfort because of something that's not even tied to reality.
And so the question then becomes, okay, well, what do we do with this? What do we take away from this? And the very first one is pretty obvious. Know what you need. I would want to ask those 1 in 4 respondents who said, oh, I need over $1 million to attain financial independence. I'd love to just sit down and ask them this question. Why?
Yeah.
What is it that you perceive $1 million in income would do for you that you're not able to do today? Because if you can define, hey, this is the life that I want to live, this is the lifestyle that I want to have, these are the things I want to do, the ways I want to travel, you may be amazed to find that it doesn't require tons of zeros to be able to do a lot of that. And really what you value and the things that you want to spend your money on might not be the lifestyles of the rich and famous stuff. It might be things that are very much reasonable and inside the realm of reality for most Americans.
I think a lot of people have done some mental math and they know, hey, if $1 million's not enough, I want to save up to $3 million without really knowing the why on why $3 million or $2 million is their number. I would strongly encourage you, spend some time thinking about what is the things that bring you value. What do you actually enjoy doing? What are things that you're going to in the long term so that you're not just saving for the purpose of reaching a number, you're saving to actually fulfill the goals of meeting your life at the intersection of happiness and needs. That's really what we try to do with the Money Guy Show is to kind of help you build that. Now, look, I do want to be honest. There is a difference between high cost of living areas and then low cost of living areas, Bo, because if somebody, think about the difference between somebody who lives in Athens, Georgia versus somebody who lives in San Francisco. You're going to have completely different, even though you live in the same country, there's going to be different metrics on what is enough in your area.
And then even when you're thinking about defining what is enough for you or what does financial independence mean for you, one of the best ways that you can keep guardrails around that is understanding how to keep lifestyle creep in check. I'm always amazed when I see folks who end up, for the majority of their career, they live at a certain income level and a certain lifestyle level. And then something happens. Maybe they move into executive management or they get some promotion and their career really starts to take off. And it's amazing that they lived for 10, 20, 25 years at a certain standard of living. But then all of a sudden, just because their income went up, they increased everything. They got the bigger house and the more expensive car and they bought the vacation home. And now all of a sudden, they were well on their way to financial independence, but because they allowed their lifestyle to inflate so much, they're now behind the 8 ball trying to build to be able to support that lifestyle. So make sure you keep an eye on how your lifestyle is expanding when your income and when your resources expand.
I mean, this is the problem with the highlight reel. The highlight reel is putting the pacer that you're trying to keep up with on the wrong objective. Because so many people are trying to buy the nicer cars, the bigger houses, to keep up with this perception that's not even tied to reality. That's why if you will go back, exactly what we were just talking about, know what is enough, know what your why is so that you can clear your head from all the distractions of life, you will be better served because then you'll actually put on a shelf what that highlight reel is. You go, oh, that's silly social media, or I know you'll sound much cooler than me.
No, that's what you'll say. You'll say that's silly.
Still,
that's silly
it is a
media.
mental exercise to know this is disconnected from reality. I'm not going to fall prey to it. And then you'll actually spend a little bit more of your disciplining, your effort to know that you could save and build, because that is the biggest thing. That is the next biggest takeaway is income is not everything. For context, and this is so important for everybody to hear, we went out and pulled from Don't Quit Your Day Job. The actual percentage of households who make over $100,000 in the United States is only 21%. So the lion's share, the vast majority of Americans are actually building their wealth with less. And we see it with teachers. There are groups of people that seem to be finding success even though they don't make tons of money. But I think it's because you have to be very purposeful with every dollar that comes into your army of dollar bills.
Even here at our firm at Abound Wealth, we have a number of clients who have large 7-figure portfolios and they live off of very healthy incomes, and their personal income in a year never actually even crossed into 6 figures because they understood the 3 ingredients of wealth creation. They exercised discipline in their life to create margin, and they applied that margin over a long time period to build wealth. That is possible. Yes, having a big shovel can help, but it's not a requirement to be able to build to financial independence.
So I know we constantly have new people coming in the doors, somewhere between 30 to 40%. Most recent time, when I looked at it recently, it was right around 30%. So a lot of you are like, okay, this is great. This sounds like good mindset stuff. Where's the actual numbers of what I need to do? And this is what we're going to load you up. Once again, go to moneyguy.com/resources. If you ever want to know how much should I save, we have a great deliverable that's going to let you cross-reference what your age is, what your savings rate to have a good replacement ratio at retirement. Don't sleep on this. Go out there and check this out. It's a fun exercise, and then you can compare and contrast where you currently are and see what you need to do better. Or maybe, for all of my financial mutants out there, you can figure out there's a difference between financial misers and financial mutants, and maybe you need to go the opposite direction with it.